Help yourselves to tea, make yourselves comfortable. Many of you have your own Safu's meditation cushions at home. You may consider bringing them. Just so we don't run out. So my latest phrase that I keep repeating is we say that we're about getting to know ourselves, and the first barrier to getting to know ourselves is ourselves. In the Heart Sutra, it says, far beyond mistaken fantasy, at last there is Nirvana. This is not something I can describe to you. Beyond, 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 at last we reach the other shore. So this self is the idea, and the clinging to what we refer to as I, me, and mine. Now, because we're Westerners, and part of our structural mind is based on duality, good and bad, right and wrong, evil and good, heaven and earth. These concepts are part of what it is that keep us from understanding and being comfortable with who we actually are. They're just concepts. Just like when we're sitting and thoughts come and go, when you have that realization, and it has to be a realization, it can't be an intellectual understanding, that you're not your thoughts. That's a kind of breakthrough moment early on in your practice when you get that, because you can use it in your life over and over again. When you get stuck, you can recognize the rising and falling, just like you do when you're sitting and the thought rises and then it falls. You're just observing. I hesitate to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. Our original nature can be described like empty space. Empty space cannot be added to, taken away from. It can't be defiled. Yet it contains everything. Everything. So this one mind is what you can place your trust in, because everything is there. It's like we all rely on Google. Google is our one mind these days. Just Google it. Well, what if your one mind is already like Google? What if you're clear And whatever needs to happen for you happens. You know, we talk about when this happens, that happens. What is that? This interconnectedness, this dependent origination, the way this one mind works. Everything is there. You can trust that. But that's something you have to experience over time as you get to know yourself. As you get to know yourself, you get to know everyone else too. When Buddha held up the flower and Mahasapa saw it and recognized it and smiled. What is that? What is that understanding? Can you have that? Yes. I liked calling this practice that we do and this organization that we have here Ordinary Zen, because I don't want to make it special, you see. I don't want to give it some sort of name that implies something other than just the ordinary. Because that's inclusive to me, the way I interpret that word. It's inclusive. Ordinary implies it's all available. You don't have to belong to a special club. All these special clubs are make-believe. All these tribes are make-believe. All these ways we separate each other from each other are make-believe. They're delusion. They're samsara. Every time you get into that us and them view, it's a fantasy. Yet, causes and conditions. If this happens, that happens. That's why Buddha presented us with these precepts. They're so beautiful. They're very simple and direct, but they just give us a way to get a hold of things so that we can be much more receptive to balance, harmony, beauty, love, compassion, rather than anger, fear, resentment, being overwhelmed, not being able to feel connected, feeling like your life's falling apart. It may be momentarily falling apart from what you know it to be. So I posted this BBS story about Korean temple cuisine today on the website. It's an interesting article for me. I'm interested in Korea, of course, and so I already knew something about this and the whole process that temple food and how they live with food, but reading that article, I think you'll find the depth of how working in harmony and in balance and being in the moment and being present affects everything. How did I come across that article? I didn't. It came to me. Everything comes to you because you're already there. You just don't know it. So blah, 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 blah. Believe it if you want to, but I prefer you didn't. It's amazing. So yeah, is there a lot of work to do? Sure. Are you capable of it? Absolutely. One moment after the next, that's all. Don't grasp too much. If you have the idea of saving the world, what is that? That's another one of those fantasies. Because what is the world to you? You made it up. Stop making things. See them. Be them. One mind. Ah, yes. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. I had a wonderful vacation, by the way, for those of you that I haven't talked to since I've been away. It was good. You might want to listen to the Dharma Talk from Sunday, where I talk about my bear encounter. It's good. Bear encounter was a little bit like meeting Buddha, face to face.
Sorry.
It's a hidden meaning, right?
You see how our minds work, right? I say bear, and what happens? Well, you can imagine when he's only 10 feet away and looking straight into your eyes, and you're looking into its eyes. Interesting experience. It was walking along the stream on the other bank, just minding its own business, and I heard it. I felt it coming, and I just said, "Hello?" And its head popped up from behind the bushes. I didn't see the whole body, just the head. He's like looking at me, and he's like, "Oh!" It's crazy. Yeah. He kind of looked at me and went, his consciousness was reaching into human consciousness, and I was reaching into bear consciousness, and we were both confused, looking at each other going, "Wait a minute." And then I said, "Whoa!" And the bear took off the other way, and I went up the hill and rolled my fly rod and my stuff. I was in a stream, and I left.
Do bears have Buddha nature?
There we go. New koan. Is the bear Buddha or not?
Barely.
All right. Enough of that. So here we are. It's a good sit tonight. Anybody have any things they'd like to talk about or questions? Well, as you all probably already know this, whenever I'm done sitting here and we have our practice together, the way to know it was a good practice was how things go afterwards. So I always find that the next day, for example, Thursdays are usually a really good day, and that things just kind of move right along for me. And my energy is better. And so just sitting together like this on Wednesday night just contributes to my whole well-being. And at least for a day or two until Sunday, when we see it again, I feel this uplifting spirit, even if things are not going well in the way I want to. That's perfectly fine with me because I'm at a different kind of space where I'm not so grabbing onto that so-called negativity. I kind of see it before it grabs me. So maybe your meditation practice will allow you to not grab on so tightly to those things that are problematic for you. You know, because things rise and fall, that still point, you can just let it. And at the same time, have insight as to what you should do. How do I handle this? What happens next? Being still gives you power in the moment to handle something differently than if you're reactive. Action is different than reaction. So if something or someone or you're having a conflict of some sort, take a moment to stop. Okay? Works for me.
I have a question then related to that. How do you know when to walk away? Like, so if you pause, right, and you're constantly stopping and not being reactive, but the other person is being reactive, how do you know when you've reached a point of like, it's not working? Does that make sense?
Well, I would venture to ask the question, how can I help? Sometimes walking away is how you help. Sometimes being understanding is how you help. You'll have to figure that out. But that's our path, right? How can I help? And sometimes it really does mean, you know, there's nothing that I can do right now in this situation. Relationships, you know, especially difficult. We tie ourselves up. You know. It's an important step to take is just to stop and then see what needs to happen. Alrighty. Anything else? Oh, thank you.